What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching my page. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to talk to you about a skill that if you develop it, it will set you free. It will set you more free than you can ever imagine. And it's really a simple skill, but like most simple things, it's very difficult to sometimes do for people because we don't think about it much. Here it is. I want to talk to you today about the difference between cynical assumptions and generous assumptions. I did an entire podcast on this. If you want to learn more about that and you want to learn more about this topic, go to joemartino.com. Click on the podcast link. You're looking for episode 32 entitled Assumptions. One of the things that you have to ask yourself is, when somebody says something to me, do I tend to interpret it the best way possible, or do I intend to interpret it the worst way possible? One of the things that we need more of in our society is grace for other people, right? I watch this all the time around the holidays, around political conversations, around conversations about parenting. People will get engaged with each other and something's said and it's automatically taken personal. That's a cynical assumption. When we hear something and we assume the worst of the person, that's a cynical assumption. Now here's the thing, I get it, I know. There are people that they deserve to have negative assumptions about them because they have built up a lifetime, or a long time at least, of bad and mean things. And there are people that are toxic and we want to have boundaries around them. But I'm talking about people that don't fit in that category. I'll watch people, well, I haven't talked to my so-and-so friend for 3 weeks. Well, why? Because they said this thing. Well, why? Well, it means this. Well, is it possible that it means that? Well, yeah. Right? Because that's part of the rub. What happens is when we take a cynical assumption, we miss the positive assumption, which is the generous assumption. One of the questions I want you to learn to ask yourself is, what's the best possible way that I could interpret what has just been said to me by someone? In the absence of evidence to contradict that best possible interpretation, I'd encourage you to take it, to run with it. If someone does do something that offends you, they say something, for instance, my wife and I co-sleep, and there are times that people say things not knowing that, and to be honest, it's rude. But I can let it go. A, maybe they didn't know, or B, even if they were being rude intentionally, I make mistakes. I do things. Sometimes I'm rude to people that I don't mean to be. Sometimes I'm rude to people because in the moment I just make a bad choice and it feels good to be rude for that brief second. And grace says, I get it. Maybe that wasn't your best moment. Maybe that wasn't your best time. Maybe that wasn't, who knows? But how can I see what you just said in the best possible light? How can I take what you just did and be like, okay, you know what, that was wrong, it hurt me. And yeah, you might have to address me like, hey, look, you said this, and I found that very hurtful. Or you might just be able to move on. This is especially true like with family events. You don't have to run down everything that your sister-in-law says. You don't have to correct everything your brother-in-law says. You can just smile. You don't have to run it all down. You can just be like, oh wow, I'm not sure I agree with that. In your head, you don't even have to say that part out loud. What you do need to do is get generous assumptions. What's the best possible way to interpret what I just heard? If you can develop this skill, I promise you, you will find in your life, you will find this beautiful reality that you're less stressed, you have better relationships, you're less angry. Because not everything's offensive now. Now, one of the things people ask me is, well, how do I be not offended all the time? One of the ways is you embrace this idea that I can interpret what you say to me to be the best possible way. What is the best possible interpretation of what you're saying? Because sometimes when we assume the worst, we're wrong. One of the funny ways, and this is something that typically is hopefully with younger people, let's say you send a text to your friend and they leave you on read. Well, they're just not texting me back because blah, blah, blah. And then I'll hear this in the therapy room, and I'll say to people, well, do you ever think you've texted somebody back and you didn't? Oh, yeah, all the time. I do that. I will think that I messaged someone back and I didn't. Well, maybe that's what happened. You see, we just moved from they're just ignoring me, cynical assumption, to, oh, maybe they thought they texted me back and they didn't. Or maybe they're busy. Generous assumption. Move from cynical assumptions to generous assumptions, and your life will be better, our society will be better, and you will find that you are less stressed. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to mash that subscribe button. Don't forget, with YouTube now, you do need to go in, hit the notifications button. You'll get a notification every time I put up a new video. And if you found value in this, please share it with your friends, share it on your social media. I really appreciate that. Also, if you would like to send me some information about something you'd like me to discuss, you can reach me at joemartino.com. Click the Contact Me page. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time.